A heavy wooden table sits in an upper room in Jerusalem. It is cluttered with the remnants of a Passover meal. I am the way, and the truth, and the life. You have probably heard this sentence. It is stitched into pillows, printed on bumper stickers, and etched of hidden knowledge to find a cold, distant enlightenment. Jesus brings the summit down to the dirt. If you are exhausted from trying to hold your own fragile version of reality together, this is the anchor. You do not have to invent the truth. You only have to fall into the one who is already holding everything together. But a road must go somewhere. An unhidden reality must have a destination. And to see where this path actually leads, you have to look at the promise he made just moments before Thomas ever opened his mouth. Just moments before Thomas demands a map. Jesus makes a statement that Western readers have misunderstood for centuries. He tells his friends, "In my Father's house are many rooms." We hear that phrase, and our modern minds instantly construct a piece of celestial real estate. We imagine a sprawling, gated community in the sky, complete with golden streets, towering gates, and customized mansions waiting for us at the end of our lives. We reduce eternity to a cosmic upgrade in living conditions. But the word Jesus uses here shatters that architectural illusion. The word translated as rooms or mansions is the Greek noun monai. It is a word that only appears twice in the entire New Testament, into the stained glass of church windows. But more often than not, it is used as a weapon. Most people read it as a rigid boundary line. It is the plural form of mon, and its root is the heavily utilized verb meno, which means to abide, to remain, or to stay. In the ancient world, a mon was often a resting place. It was a safe way station along a brutal, exhausting Roman highway, where a dust-covered traveler could finally put down their heavy pack, wash their cracked feet, and find security for the night. This is not a word about construction materials. It is a word about unbroken proximity. You see this exact same root explode just one chapter later, in John 15, when Jesus tells these same disciples, "Abide in me, and I in you." Meno in me, the imagery he uses there is not a house, but a vine and a branch, an organic, living connection, where the heavy, sweet sap of the vine flows directly into the fibers of the branch. When Jesus promises them monai, he is not promising them a luxury suite in the afterlife. He is promising them a permanent place of belonging. The Father's house is not a physical building he is going off to construct with hammer and nails. It is the very presence of God himself. He is telling these terrified men, who are about to lose everything, that he is forging a path into the innermost sanctuary of divine love. They assume it is Jesus acting as a celestial bouncer at the door of eternity, checking theological credentials. They read it as a divine technicality, designed, and he is carving out a space for them to stay. Heaven is not a geographical location you travel to. It is a relational reality you are grafted into. This changes how you read the exclusivity of the Hodos. If the destination is a physical city, then multiple roads could theoretically get you there. You could take the paved highway, or the scenic route, or the winding backdoor trail through the mountains. But if the destination is a person, if the destination is the intimate heart of the Father, then the only way into that reality is through the Son who already lives there. But this monai, this abiding rest, was never meant to wait for eternity. It was about to spill out into the violent, blood-stained streets of the ancient world. A few weeks pass. The heavy air of the upper room is gone. The streets of Jerusalem are electric. A beggar stands up on paralyzed legs. The temple authorities panic. They drag two fishermen before the high court. They demand absolute silence. The fishermen refuse. A few chapters later, the tension breaks. Stephen speaks to an angry mob. The crowd covers their ears. They drag him outside the city gates. They pick up heavy, jagged stones. You can hear the violent impact against bone. You can see the dust rising in the heat of the day to keep the wrong people out of heaven. In a modern world that prizes the idea of many paths leading up the same mountain, and a young, brilliant Pharisee named Saul stands by, watching the coats. This is the violent birth of the early church, and as persecution detonates, scattering these men and women across the Roman Empire, they do something completely unexpected. They do not build fortresses. They do not hand out theological manuals. They do not form a political party. They simply walk. They share their bread. They heal the sick. They sing hymns in cold, damp prison cells. They walk into plague-infested cities while the wealthy and the powerful run out. They pull abandoned infants from the cold dirt of Roman trash heaps. And the Roman world does not know what to call them. In the book of Acts, this scattered movement finally gets a label. Saul marches toward Damascus. The desert sun beats down on his shoulders. He is breathing out threats. He is carrying signed warrants from the high priest. He is hunting down men and women belonging to the way. Hodos, the exact word Jesus dropped onto the table in the upper room. It is a stroke of linguistic genius. The Romans have the Appian Way. They have massive, stone-paved highways designed to move legions, collect taxes, and conquer the world. The religious elite have the Torah. They have a sprawling, complex map of laws designed to keep humanity perfectly pure. This verse is often pointed to as the ultimate statement of narrow-minded exclusion, and it does carry an exclusive weight. But this ragged group of fishermen and former tax collectors claim they have found the ultimate road. The way was not a philosophy they debated. It was a person they inhabited. When you see how the first century actually lived this out, the modern complaint about Jesus being an exclusive gatekeeper completely vanishes. If the way is an elite club with a velvet rope, exclusivity is arrogance. But if the way is a rescue team kicking in the door of a burning building, exclusivity is the greatest news on earth. The firefighter is not gatekeeping the exits. He is pointing to the only window that is not completely engulfed in flames. But that fire is not just an ancient, historical reality. It is personal, and you are standing in the smoke right now. We are all looking for a map. You wake up in the pitch black at 3 in the morning. The house is completely silent, save for the dull hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. But your mind is running at a terrifying speed. You are trying to plot the coordinates of your own survival. You are trying to figure out how to navigate a sudden financial collapse, how to hold together a fracturing marriage, or how to carry the physical weight of a medical diagnosis that smells of sterile alcohol and bleach. But if you look closer at the specific Greek words spilling out of his mouth, at the cultural soil of the first century, at the actual question, you can feel the tight, suffocating pressure in your chest. You can feel the cold sweat on your palms. In those moments, you want exactly what Thomas wanted. You want an itinerary. You want a clear, brightly lit road out of the panic. You want a numbered list of spiritual techniques to safely navigate the smoke of a collapsing world. You assume that if the divine is real, he will hand you the blueprint to get out of the pain. But Jesus does not hand you a scroll. He offers you his own chest. If you are in a season where the path ahead is entirely obscured by fear, where every decision feels like a gamble in the dark, and you are exhausted from trying to manufacture your own security, his response to Thomas is a place to sit. It is an invitation to drop the heavy, crushing burden of religious performance. You do not have to be smart enough, holy enough, or strong enough to build a bridge back to the creator of the cosmos. The way is not a technique you master. It is a presence you fall into. He is the Hodos. He is the physical ground beneath your feet when everything else turns to ash and drops away. He is the Aletheia, and a confused fisherman just asked him. You start to see something the bouncer reading completely misses. The words are not a border wall. He is the unhidden reality that catches you when your own fragile version of truth finally shatters under the weight of real human suffering. And he is leading you to the Monai. He is not taking you to a celestial mansion made of cold gold and glass, but into a place of permanent, unbroken belonging in the very heart of the Father. You do not have to know the geographic coordinates of your future. You only have to know who is breathing next to you in the dark, Because what Jesus spoke into that terrifying night in Jerusalem was not an isolated philosophy. It was the climax of a rescue operation that had been bleeding through the soil of human history since the very beginning of the world. Picture the heavy wooden table one last time. The oil lamps are burning out. The bread is broken and scattered on the clay. A rabbi looks at his terrified friends. Everything that happens next changes the world. A fisherman demanded a physical map out of the panic, and he was handed the person of God. A heavy Roman cross was built to execute a carpenter, and it became the door to a rescue operation. A frightened church scattered into the violent streets, and they became known by the very ground they walked on. They are a rescue operation. This is not a statement of divine gatekeeping. It is a promise of relentless presence. A brilliant Pharisee hunted down the way in the blinding heat, and the way met him in the dust. A fragile world suffocated under the weight of its own manufactured illusions, and the unhidden reality walked out of an empty tomb. A terrified humanity searched for a ladder to climb out of the dark, and the creator of the cosmos climbed down into the dirt. A broken people wandered looking for a temporary escape, and they were offered an unbroken, eternal abiding. One road. One rescue. But maybe the part that stays with me most is the Monai. Not the modern image of a gilded mansion in the clouds. Not a cold, celestial upgrade. But the ancient image of a safe way station for an exhausted traveler. The radical promise that after a lifetime of running, of carrying the crushing weight of your own survival on a bruised back, you finally get to put your heavy pack down on the floor. If you are in a season where you feel completely lost, stop looking for a map. You do not need an itinerary. The kingdom of heaven does not hand out geographic coordinates. It hands out presence. And may the God who has never once abandoned his people in the smoke walk with you on the road and bring you into the rest. To understand the absolute shock of what Jesus is actually claiming, you cannot start with a modern dictionary. You were always made for. If this reached something in you, subscribe. Leave a comment, even one word helps. Share this with someone who is exhausted from trying to navigate the dark alone. Pray for us as we keep digging into these texts. You cannot start with abstract theology. You have to start with the panic on the dirt floor of that upper room. You can smell the roasted lamb, the crushed, bitter herbs, the stale wine drying on the clay floor. 13 men sit in the flickering lamplight. We live in an age that is deeply suspicious of the word only. In our modern grammar, exclusivity is a synonym for arrogance. We bristle at the idea of a single road. We prefer the image of a vast, sweeping mountain where thousands of different trails, paved with good intentions and personal discoveries, all eventually spiral their way to the same misty summit. To stand at the base of that mountain and declare that one path is correct, while the others lead nowhere feels intellectually offensive. It sounds like the heavy thud of a slammed door. And when you lift John 14:6 out of its historical soil and drop it into a 21st century debate, that is exactly how it sounds. People hear the phrase, "I am the way," and they imagine a velvet rope outside an elite club. They picture a deity standing with a clipboard, checking to see if you have memorized the right creed, recited the precise liturgical prayer, or attended the correct denomination. It feels less like a conversation and more like a sharp, cold blade, cutting humanity into the insiders and the outsiders. But that reading requires us to completely ignore the context of a bruised and bleeding world. When a building is engulfed in flames and the air is thick with black, choking smoke, the firefighter who kicks in the burning wood, the mood is not celebratory. It is suffocating. One man has just walked out into the dark streets to sell his teacher for silver, and yells, "This is the only way out," is not being narrow-minded. They are being precise. They are not restricting your freedom. They are saving your life. The exclusivity of Jesus is not a padlocked gate. It is a dropped ladder. He is diagnosing a human condition that cannot be cured by simply trying harder, meditating longer, or climbing higher. If the human ailment were simply a lack of moral direction, the divine response would have been a philosophy. If we only needed to align our internal energies, the universe would have offered a technique. But the biblical text operates on a much heavier assumption. The prophets do not describe humanity as simply wandering a few degrees off course. They describe a species that is spiritually suffocating, trapped in a structure of its own making, unable to bridge the gap back to its creator. This is not an insult. It is a rescue protocol. To understand the absolute audacity of what Jesus is claiming, we have to stop reading his words as a philosophical argument designed to win a modern theological debate. We have to hear them the way the terrified men in that room heard them. We have to look at the man sitting across the table, watching the oil lamps burn low, listening to a very specific, another, the loudest and bravest of the group, has just been told he will publicly deny knowing his best friend before the dawn breaks. Very desperate question from a disciple who has just realized he is entirely lost. Thomas speaks up, and his question pulls us right back into the dirt and the dark of that ancient night. Look at the scene again. Jesus speaks into the silence. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Why would he say that? Because their hearts are hammering against their ribs. The air in the room is stale. Judas has just vanished into the night. Peter has just been told his courage will fail. The stone walls feel like they are closing in. They have left their homes. They have left their boats. They have left their families in Galilee. They bet their entire existence on this traveling rabbi. And now, the rabbi is saying goodbye. He tells them he is leaving. He speaks of a father's house. He speaks of preparing a place. He tells them they already know the way to where he is going. But Thomas cannot take the poetry anymore. The anxiety boils over. You can hear the heavy wooden table creak as Thomas leans his weight into it. His knuckles are white. The flickering lamplight catches the sweat on his face. Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? The air in the room is thick with a very specific kind of panic. It is heavy with the sudden, terrifying realization that the kingdom, Thomas is the pragmatist. He deals in torn nets. He deals in caught fish and violent storms. If Jesus is leaving Jerusalem, Thomas wants the route. He wants to know which city gate to take. He wants to know if they need to pack bread. He wants to know if they are walking back to the safety of Galilee. He wants a physical road. This is not an abstract theological debate. It is a desperate plea for survival. Thomas wants an itinerary. He wants step 1. He wants step 2. He wants step 3. Show us the trail. Give us the landmarks. Because outside that door, the religious leaders are picking up stones. The Roman guards are sharpening swords. The temple authorities are closing the net. Jesus looks back at his frantic friend. He does not hand Thomas a map. He does not draw a line in the dirt. He does not give a list of moral behaviors to memorize. He points to his own chest. I am. Ego eimi. The same phrase, whispered from a burning bush. The same name spoken into the desert wind centuries before. Now it breathes in a cramped room in Jerusalem. I am the way. Thomas asked for a direction. Jesus gives him a person. But to grasp the sheer weight of what he is offering, they thought they were building, is about to be violently torn apart. They have given up their nets, their tax booths, to their reputations. You have to look at the exact Greek word Jesus chooses for way, because it holds a secret and it completely rewrites the map. The Greek word translated as way in our English Bibles is a heavy, physical thing. In John chapter 14, when Jesus responds to Thomas, the word he uses is the Greek noun Hodos. It is a common word, appearing over 100 times in the New Testament, and its primary meaning is intensely literal. A Hodos is a physical road, a dirt path worn smooth by the friction of leather sandals, and the heavy wooden wheels of trade carts. It is the blinding dust of a Roman highway baking under the Mediterranean sun. It is a geographic route from one location to another. But in the ancient mind, Hodos also carried a profound metaphorical weight. It meant a journey. It meant a continuous progression through the brutal, unpredictable realities of a bruised world. If the realization that Jesus is not offering a religious map, but offering his own presence, is stirring something new inside you, you're exactly who this channel is for. Drop a thought in the comments and hit subscribe. Because every week, we dig deeper into these ancient texts to find the heartbeat beneath the ink. So, we look closer at what stepping onto this Hodos actually means. This concept was so central, and 3 years of their lives for a man who is now telling them he is leaving. Where he is going, they cannot follow. So violently disruptive that before the early believers were ever called Christians, they were known simply by this word. In the book of Acts, when Saul of Tarsus is hunting down the early church, he goes to the high priest asking for letters to the synagogues in Damascus. He is specifically looking for men and women who belong to the way, to the Hodos. They were not known by a building they attended. They were known by the ground they walked on. When you understand the weight of this word, the entire architecture of his statement to Thomas shifts. Every other religious system in human history operates on the exact same premise. They hand you a scroll of directions. They give you a list of moral coordinates, a set of ethical hurdles to clear, and a cold, heavy burden of performance to carry as you attempt to navigate the dark. The founder of a philosophy stands at the trailhead, points up the steep, terrifying incline of the mountain, and says, "That is the way. I hope you survive the climb." Jesus subverts the entire system. He looks at Thomas and says, in essence, that there is no map. There is no abstract list of coordinates that will save him from the dark. The way is not a method. It is a person. He is not pointing to a road. He is becoming the ground beneath their feet. To say, "I am the Hodos," means that salvation, and in the center of this collapsing world, a Galilean carpenter looks at his terrified friends. He speaks. He does not offer them a theological treatise. Is not a destination you finally achieve through sheer moral exhaustion. It is a relationship you inhabit. You do not travel along a philosophy, carefully balancing your good deeds against your failures. You attach yourself to the person who is already walking out of the grave. But Hodos is only the first third of the claim. Because walking on a path in the dark requires light. And to understand how this road actually functions, you have to look at the second word he drops onto that wooden table, a word that directly confronts our deepest modern anxieties. You are told every day that truth is something you manufacture. You see it in the cold blue glow of a smartphone. You hear it in the endless noise of a crowded culture. Find your truth. Speak your truth. Create your truth. We treat truth like wet clay. We mold it. We shape it. We bend it to fit the contours of our own desires. We try to construct a reality that feels safe, hoping it will hold our weight when the storm hits. But when the medical diagnosis comes, when the bank account empties, when the floor drops out from beneath your carefully curated life, clay cannot hold you. A concept cannot bleed for you. A philosophy cannot pull you from the wreckage. He does not give them a 10-step survival guide for navigating the Roman Empire. He gives them a single sentence that will echo across the next 2 millennia. When Jesus sits at that heavy wooden table and says, "I am the truth," he uses the Greek noun aletheia. It is a word that changes the entire architecture of how we understand the universe. The etymology is breathtaking. The word is built from a negative prefix, the letter alpha, attached to the root lethe, which means concealment, forgetfulness, or hiding. Aletheia literally means the state of being unhidden. It is the curtain being violently ripped back. It is reality stripped of all illusion. When he says earlier in this same gospel, "The truth will set you free," he is not talking about acquiring correct information. Information does not break chains. Presence breaks chains. Truth is not a set of moral bullet points you memorize. It is a person you encounter. He does not hand his friends a scroll and say, "Read this, and you will understand the divine." He says, "Look at me." He is the unhiding of God. He is what the creator of the cosmos looks like when he wraps himself in human skin, breathes our dusty air, and lets his heart be broken by our grief. Every other religious system demands that you climb a mountain,